Welcome to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Extra Point here on Pittsburgh CW. Following a disappointing game for the Steelers at home, their home opener at Acrisure Stadium, and they lose 17-14. Never got the ball back at the end after a big Mac Jones scramble. Converted a 3rd and 3, and that was it. We'll talk about it in length. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you, and we hope you tune on over. If you have, tell other people to tune in as well. We're going to be here for the next couple of hours. We have your calls coming up a little later. Mike Tomlin's post-game reaction, players from the locker room. But Chris, first of all, your take. The offense was to me, it was just check down after check down after check down after check down. At what point does that stop? And why are they living in their fears?
Well, you would think coming out in the second half, there was a lot of talk, and everybody felt like they could not move the ball, and they weren't pushing it down the field. I thought they would change that at halftime, but it was still a lot of the same, a lot of just balls thrown outside the hashes, safe throws, Bob, just out to the sideline where only his receiver or would be incomplete. Or they would check it down to Najee Harris. They've got to be able to push the ball down the field in order to score points. And today, really, other than that one drive when the Steelers were scored on after that muffed punt by Olszewski, I don't think the Patriots did much to give the Steelers anything, and I believe they played a little prevent in that drive, and they gave them a little bit too much in that drive. But other than that, the Steelers couldn't move the ball.
Yeah, and I thought the key to this game was the New England offensive line. I mean, I don't think the Steelers had a sack today. Anytime they tried to blitz, bring pressure, they were picked up, and it seemed like the T.J. Watt effect was in full effect, that they couldn't produce a lot of pressure here today, and that's uncharacteristic of a Steeler defense that does that. But, again, beyond the defense, I think when you limit a team to just 17 points, you should win a game in the National Football League. But again, you can't do it when you're almost apprehensive, defensive with the ball on offense. They just had too many 3-and-outs. They were, again, gassing their own defense, I thought, Chris. That defense was on the field far too much.
Especially there in the fourth quarter. A lot of 3-and-outs when the game was on the line. Listen, it was a 17-14 ball game, and the Steelers had chances to go down and score and win the game. They could not push the chains. They couldn't get any first downs and kept putting the defense back on the field. Then when you saw, Bob, with 6:33 left, like you said, the Patriots have started to pound the Steelers defense. And after playing almost 5 quarters last week and then now coming here, just that was enough. They broke, and they could not get a stop on several 3rd downs, and that was into the game. They ended up losing that 17-14 game, and I thought the defense played pretty good.
Yeah, the key there right before they had to punt the ball away is they had New England down to a 2nd and 13. There was a holding call, so it nullified a first down, puts them back in the hole. They get 10 yards, and then they get 3 yards to keep the drive alive, and that was it. The Steelers never touched the ball. Some big plays. You mentioned Olszewski, the former New England Patriot, all-pro in the special teams game, but he muffed the punt, and that was critical because they scored 3 plays later. And then right before that, it was Cam Sutton who dropped what would have been a very easy interception. It was right in his hands, and he didn't do that. And as a result, New England took full advantage of that, and that's pretty much all they needed. They never trailed after they led 17-6.
When your team is struggling to move the ball and you can't put points on the board, you can't drop a ball that's thrown right into your breadbasket. So Cam Sutton had to make that throw. If you think about it, if he would have caught that ball, they would have gone down about midfield. Now he didn't. They punted the ball. They fumbled the punt. And you don't know what's going to happen. But you've got to take advantage of the opportunities when they come. And in that moment they didn't, and that's when things fell apart and they couldn't catch back up.
Yeah, and they really didn't activate at all many of their big-time playmakers. George Pickens had 1 throw at the end of the first half. I say this every week. I'm going to say it again just because it's become a habit with me. But why not start a game with a little up-tempo, a little change of pace? It seems like they're very methodical, and they're just very cautious on offense. Now, is that Matt Canada? Is that Mitch Trubisky? Is that both? Who's making that call to be that conservative?
Well, listen, here's what I'm seeing. For a while there, I was seeing people were saying this looks like the same offense as last year, right? And I was defending the team here, but now I'm looking at this. These are the same throws, same thing we saw Ben do last year. Just throw the ball out to outside the hashes, check the ball down. It's all the same, and you're not going to score a lot of points in the NFL. Listen, if you don't score more than 17 points in a ball game, you're going to lose the majority of the games. And so they've got to find a way to push the ball down the field, and they did that once or twice in this game. He was picked off in one, right? That was a nice throw over the middle on a little quick slant by Freiermuth in the touchdown pass. But other than that, guys, if we keep doing and we keep seeing what we're seeing right now, it's going to be 14-point games, 13-point games. Whatever you get, it's not going to be a lot of points. It's going to be tough to win.
Yeah. Scoring summary for this game, and I'm sure you'll watch it today on KDKA TV. Here we go. It started with a Nick Folk 28-yard field goal, countered by Chris Boswell. And again, settling for 3 too many times in the red zone, that can be a problem. Then, of course, that big touchdown to Nelson Agholor, who took the ball right away from Ahkello Witherspoon, who I thought had really good coverage, but he didn't high point it, and the other guy did, Agholor, and that turned out to be a big play. Boswell chipped into that, and then Harris. This is after the Olszewski muff punt. That was critical. Harris scores to make it 17-6, and then the one good drive of the day was an 8-yard touchdown to Freiermuth from Trubisky, then the 2-point conversion on a nice effort by Diontae Johnson, and they could never do much after that, and so it ends right there at 17-14. So bottom line is the Steelers are now 1-1, and they have a few days, and that's it, to get ready for the Cleveland Browns, who are home to take on the Jets. We'll review the AFC North. Some pretty interesting stuff going on there. We also have Mike Tomlin's press conference coming up, player reaction, and much more, so keep it here. We continue with the Extra Point Show on Pittsburgh CW following a 17-14 New England win on Steelers opening day.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke with you, and this is the way it went quarter by quarter. Patriots had a big long drive after the Steelers basically go 3 and out to start the game. 3-0 at that point, and you see the rest of it. Steelers could not come back after falling behind 17-14. Mike Tomlin is now live at Heinz Field. Let's take you there, or Acrisure Stadium.
Moments. They made more splash plays in them circumstances than we did. I thought they won the field position game and special teams. They got a couple kickoff returns from a field positioning standpoint. Obviously, when we didn't handle the punt, that was a significant play. The 2-minute goal ball was a significant play, and sometimes when you're in games like this, that's the difference. It felt like it was today. Obviously, there was some good, there was some bad outside of those things, but I thought those were the critical, weighty things where they were able to control the game, particularly kind of in the fourth quarter as we were trying to regain control of it. I just thought they got propped up by those plays, and we didn't do what was required. We didn't make the significant chunks or move the ball well enough on offense, and obviously at the end we didn't get the necessary stop on defense. And so it's painful, but it is. It's important that we zero our focus in on this short week. That's what we were just talking about in there. Obviously, there's some things to learn from this performance, but, boy, we better learn quickly and shift our focus because we got a road division game here in a short period of time. Don't have a lot of information regarding injuries. I know Devin Bush wasn't able to finish the game. He's got a foot that's being evaluated. Other than that, I don't have a lot of information. Questions?
You talked about the good and the bad. Could you comment on what you thought was good?
You know, we had our moments. You know, we won some possession downs on offense. We won some possession downs on defense. But, you know, again, I just that 7 points in a 2-minute circumstance and then their ability to put 7 points on the board after we didn't handle the punt were the significant components of the game.
As far as deep throws, throws over the middle, is that just quarterback decisions?
You know, they're a group that really specializes in minimizing big plays, splash plays defensively. That's been their calling card. McCourty's been back there in the middle of the field for a long time, and so we knew that, you know, the game would be challenging from that perspective.
When you got the ball late in Cincinnati in overtime, you were able to get that long drive. You had the same circumstance and weren't able to. What were you saying that you came up short in that 2-minute drill this time?
They made plays. New England did. They made plays.
What did you think of Mitch's performance in general, Trubisky?
You know, I have to look at the tape in terms from an evaluation standpoint, but obviously we collectively didn't make enough plays today, he included.
Do you think Mitch had a slow start again, maybe a little slower?
I hadn't analyzed it in that way. I look at us collectively.
How do you evaluate the pass rush in the first game without TJ?
You know, I thought that New England would do a good job of minimizing that component of our game by running the football, by rhythm throws and things of that nature. So I didn't necessarily go into this game thinking it was going to be a, 7-sack type game. It wasn't going to unfold that way. Their style of play wasn't going to allow that to happen.
Your thinking behind the big front you use, instead of 2 OLBs most of the time, or much of the time, use Cam outside, Leal outside.
You know, they were going to run the ball. We were down an outside linebacker or two, and so we just felt like that was the appropriate approach to take for multiple reasons.
How do
How do you assess the play of the offensive line today?
Again, we didn't make enough plays. I hadn't combed through it from an individual perspective or from a, groups within the group perspective. I just acknowledged that New England made some significant plays, and in a game like that, it's going to come down to a couple of plays, and we didn't make enough of them.
How do you feel about, it seemed like there was a lot of wide open plays that were not, that were left on the table. How do you feel about that when you evaluate?
I don't know that I have that perspective, so I don't have a comment.
Did you expect that George Pickens would be a little more involved in the offense to this stage?
I don't know that I had expectations about what that would look like. I think in the early portions of the year, man, you're establishing roles, and what happens in stadium is more important than maybe what your intentions are. Intentions, are just that. The reality of how we perform, how we divide the labor up, and how we distribute the ball and who makes the plays is what's important in stadium.
I know last week you said you were a little conservative because of the game situation. You got the lead and whatnot. Did you come in thinking you wanted to be a little less conservative or attack a little bit more?
I don't know that we had that perspective. We just wanted to win possession downs, and I was really upfront about that at the outset of the week. We knew it would be a possession down game, and we won some of those, but not enough splash, particularly in the weighty moments.
Being as though you have a short week, how is your just initial evaluation of the team health-wise going into a Thursday night's game?
Again, I don't have a lot of information, like I mentioned at the opening.
On the go ball to Ahkello, is there much more Witherspoon can do there, or is that something you just come?
Yeah, play the ball above eye level. He's a big guy. You got to play the ball above eye level.
Anyone else? All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Mike Tomlin. Very quick with a lot of those answers. Interesting at the end, that play to Ahkello where Witherspoon, he was on top of him, but Ahkello did play it at high point, and Witherspoon did not, and you lose the battle based on that play.
He was in great position. It was
He was.
Great coverage all the way down the field, Bob, and you can't just sit there and wait for the ball to come into your breadbasket. You've got to go up and high point it, and at that point, Ahkello, he outplayed him on that play, and you've got to go up and get it. And he has good size, like Coach Tomlin said, and you could see the frustration there in Coach Tomlin's eyes and the way he was talking. The Patriots made the plays when it mattered, and the Steelers didn't. And that's what's frustrating, is that the plays weren't made. And especially there in the fourth quarter, they're the ones that made the plays that mattered to go out and seal the game.
And that was the big touchdown. And, it was a play that Witherspoon was in position to make. He was just kind of flat-footed, as you saw in that still picture there, where Ahkello went up and got the ball away from him. The other thing that was interesting, he talked about a conservative play design, maybe more last week on the road, protecting situations. I expected less conservatism today. I expected them to come out and really throw the ball deep. Now, you heard Mike Tomlin talk about, Chris, the fact that they're good at taking that away, and they do have some defenders who've been around. McCourty roams back there, but still, just because they do that well, should you not go there? I mean, to me, you got to try it, don't you?
You've got to push the ball down the field, because if you don't, then you have a tough time running the ball, and that's what the Steelers saw last week. The Steelers weren't pushing the ball down the field, and the Bengals would sit back and they would just say, hey, listen, we're not going to let you beat us. We're going to make you run the football. And they had 8 guys in the box. And in this game, too, if you're not going to push the ball down the field and make defenses respect your passing game, something that you can go deep, then they're not going to worry about that. And they're going to sit there and just going to play the run and really just suffocate your offense. And in this game, it's just 90% of the throws in the fourth quarter, Bob, were check downs and Najee Harris. 90% of the throws. Like he had one here to Diontae Johnson, but really, largely, that's all they had. And I think the Patriots, that's what they did when they went down and scored to go up by 9. The Steelers went down pretty easily down the field, and I think the Patriots were a little too soft on that drive and gave them a lot of yardage. Then they came back and said, okay, we're going to play back and sit back, but we're not going to give it the big play, but we're not going to let you just, we're going to give you those little underneath throws. That's what the Steelers took.
Sometimes, though, you got to try them. You got playmakers like Pickens, like Claypool, who can get down the field. Diontae Johnson over the middle. That's another part of it. Over the middle plays, you didn't see many of them. The touchdown pass to Freiermuth was over the middle of the field, but it was on a shorter field. I'm talking about using that big tight end in the middle of the field. We didn't see too much of that.
We didn't see it, and we saw a couple times he did it, right? It was picked off by the linebacker there, and then also through another one that should have been picked off again and hit Freiermuth right in the helmet. So you saw when he threw it over the middle, Bob, he struggled a little bit. So you have to wonder, is that strategically why he's not throwing it between the hashes and he's going outside? Because those are very safe throws. It's either a catch or the ball's out of bounds, and there's no other play on it. And so that's what you got to look at right now. Is he playing too conservative to be able to go down and score a lot of points in order to win?
All right, we have plenty of locker room reaction coming up to this loss today. That's up next, and we will take your calls at around 5 o'clock, so you can weigh in on your thoughts of this game. I'm sure a lot of people thought New England as a visiting favorite was not a good line. Well, the odds makers knew exactly what they were doing. Got a 2.5. It turned out to be a 3-point game, and the Patriots really needed this because they have Baltimore next, Green Bay after that. So they win 17-14. We're back right after this with player reaction from Acrisure Stadium.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
Steelers fall to 1-1, and now they have the prospects of a short week going to Cleveland. Our number one Cochran player of the game this week, we're going to give it to Miles Jack, who's a very good tackler. You noticed him. He stopped a couple of passing plays short of first down, all alone in the open field. 13 total tackles, 5 solo. He's our number one Cochran player of the game. And you heard Mike Tomlin talk about Devin Bush, who I didn't notice all day, and yet you think he's playing better, but he got injured with a foot injury and did not return.
Well, what I saw when I watched him was he's playing with a lot more effort, a lot more technique. I think Brian Flores is really having impact on his play this year.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that on stat list with sacks, interceptions, whatever. And so far that's not been the case, but it's only week number 2. Right now, Cam Heyward is speaking in the locker room. Let's take you there.
We didn't make the plays we needed to, and just lost.
Cam, 7 sacks last week. Why were you guys unable to get pressure this week?
Because we didn't stop the run enough. We didn't put them in enough situations where they had to throw the ball. Attention to detail things. A couple times Jones got out, but came down to, if we were ever going to get to this pass, get after their O-line, had to start with stopping the run first. There was too many medium down, so, he gets the ball out quick, so, they were able to convert.
Kim, why was that long handoff so effective for them today? It seemed to stretch you guys out.
The long handoff, not sure. We knew they were a stretch team, a toss team. They tend to go for those long edges, C, D gaps, and we have to set the edge. When it gets out there, everybody just has to be accountable for your gaps. And at the end, they went to the open side, pulling guys, and if you don't have enough guys in the box, and make sure that you get guys over top, it's going to work.
Kind of a gut punch for them to run out the final 6.5 minutes on it by running the ball game.
We traded back and forth. We didn't get off the field the last time. It's just the way the game went.
Cam, you guys tried a lot of different people in what would be TJ. How did you feel it went?
It wasn't good enough. I don't think a guy's going to tell you it was. But we have to get better from it. We have a short turnaround, and kudos to them for getting the job done today.
Thanks, Cam.
All right, that's Cam Heyward after the game. We're just watching the end of the Miami game, and they beat the Ravens. They were down in this game early, and the AFC North is going to be interesting all season long. But Lamar Jackson had a big game offensively, 3 touchdown passes, as well as a 79-yard run for a score. But Tua Tagovailoa has been terrific in this game. 42-38. The Dolphins are 2-0.
And Jalen Waddle, too, and Tyreek Hill, they both had big games. This is a team that's going to be a team to reckon with. And you saw it right there. They were explosive in the second half. It looked to me, Bob, like the Ravens were going to run away with it. And then here came the Dolphins and took it away in Baltimore.
And how about the Jets? They were down early, and they go to Cleveland and beat the Browns. So the Steelers and the Browns both 1-1 after this, and so are the Ravens. Right now, let's go to Mitch Trubisky, who's speaking at Acrisure Stadium.
More downfield passing over the middle passing for this offense?
Just call concepts to get receivers there. And when the coverage dictates that, get them the ball within that. Saw a lot of post high, so they're usually backers sitting in the middle, safety in the middle of the field. So we like our outside matchups. Got really good receivers. We got really good talent across the board. We'd like to attack all areas of the field and get the ball to our playmakers. So we could do a little bit better at everything, for sure.
Did you see a lot of single high today?
Yep.
What are your options when you see that?
If it's man, best matchups. If it's zone, find the holes. And that comes down to timing and just being in the right place at the right time. So they did a good job mixing it up. So, they don't only play one high. They play a bunch of coverages. and we can be better at everything. I can be better with decision making. We had some missed opportunities. I said missed throws. We had a couple we weren't on the same page. And bottom line, we got to score more points. So our emphasis was be better on third down this week. I think we were a little bit better at that in the first half at least. In the fourth quarter, we got to convert those to be able to stay on the field and give ourselves a chance. But it just felt like missed opportunities by myself in the offense. And there's a lot we can get better at. So we got to look at that and flush it real quick because we got another game on Thursday. So it's going to come around fast, and we got to move on to the next one and make sure we're getting better.
The offense got more in sync in that last drive in the third quarter when you guys were going tempo. Is that something that it would help to go to that earlier? Is there a possibility to go to that earlier?
There's mixed philosophies in that. I think we were just having a lot of positive plays on that drive, and we mixed in some tempo, and it seemed to be working. If that's something we want to continue to mix in, I think we can look at that. But as we go, we just continue to find this identity. We're still young. We still are meshing as a unit. And that was a good drive. We had some positive plays. And so if that's something we want to look at to continue to do more of, maybe we'll do that. But we just got to continue to find our identity. Everybody needs to lean in, come together. And really, I just need to play better to give us a better chance at the end.
Mitch, you alluded to this when you said, at least in the first half, the third downs were better than last week. In the second half, when third downs, was it more about what you guys just weren't executing, or had they made some adjustments at halftime that threw you off?
I would have to go back to watch the film to give you a better answer for that, but it felt like in the second half, they out-executed us on third down, except for that one drive where we scored. In the fourth quarter, it wasn't good enough.
Few sacks hurt you in the first half. What can you attribute those to?
Those were on me. I think one of them was on a naked. I was trying to make a scramble play out of it. And then down in the red zone, we had time. I should have got it out. So I thought the O-line protected really well today. A great communication, and those two sacks were on me.
On the tip pick, do you just attribute that to the guy diving?
That was a good play. We had cover two right there. I tried to force one in there. I probably should have just moved on the progression or check it down. Good play by that guy. I thought I could get in behind him, forced throw, and should not have done that.
Last third down to Najee, you hit him on the left side, short of the sticks. Is that what that play is designed to do? Can you kind of take us through?
Yep. I tried to give him a chance. It was slightly underthrown, and he did a good job going up and trying to make a play on it. I'd like to lead him downfield a little bit more and hit him on the run, but try to buy some time. I was probably fading a little too much in the pocket to my right to buy him some time. Could have just got it out a little sooner and threw it downfield so he can make a play on it. So that one was on me.
I was actually talking about the one I think the other one threw it to the left side to him, short of the sticks. Is there just nothing downfield for you on that play, or what do you remember about that?
Yeah, we're gonna have to look at that one. If I'm thinking of the same play, they had cover zero on. That was my hot throw. The corner did a good job having eyes. He came off on it and made the tackle. We just got to have better answers when they show us that type of look.
It's sometimes tough to be patient when.
All right, Mitch Trubisky, you see, didn't have very good yardage there at 168 yards. Again, a lot of underneath throws. Bill Cowher on CBS pretty much said that his observation is Mitch Trubisky is trying not to make mistakes at the risk of making plays down the field. Do you agree with that? And if so, why is he doing that?
Well, I absolutely agree. We talked about already that he is taking the safe throw, and he's not really challenging the defense the last 2 weeks that he's played. And the reason why he's doing that, he doesn't want to make the mistake. He wants to go out there, and if he has to punt, that's okay, because they're relying on their defense. And what you saw there in the fourth quarter, Bob, is when you rely on your defense and you play safe, they're going to wear out. They've been playing a lot of snaps the last 2 weeks, and it broke. The dam broke there in that last drive with 6:33 left in the game. They couldn't get a stop. There were several third downs, and they ran the ball for first downs, and that's what's going to happen. The Steelers have to be able to push the ball down the field. They have to be able to get big, explosive plays. I don't even know if they had a play today over 25 yards. Everything was 24 yards or less. I think there was a 23-yard catch by Pickens.
That was the only one.
But other than that, there hasn't been explosive plays. They need something to put a little bit of pressure on these defenses, and they're not doing it right now.
And if they say go down the field, 2 of 3 things can happen: a pass interference, a catch, or a knockdown, a bad play, whatever. The bottom line is there's some positive things down the field, and they have players who can get there. They got to do it, and they got to do it more. Plus a short week coming up, so you wonder about that defense. They can't be on the field this much. We'll take a break. We have more locker room reaction coming up. Gunnar Olszewski talks about his muffed punt, and also Diontae Johnson, who was open a couple of times, didn't get the ball. We'll get into that and more when we continue right here on the Extra Point.
Welcome back to the neighborhood Ford store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for the JP Roofing final stats, and you can see, again, kind of a conservative game. The Steelers just 91 yards rushing. New England averaged 4.8. They grinded it out. Their offensive line, I thought, was terrific. They had 100 more passing yards, and time of possession again, the Steelers lose it.
Very interesting right there. You look at that, the Steelers have 100 yards less throwing than the Patriots, and they had about, almost the same amount of throws and completions. There's the difference. They were pushing the ball down the field a little bit. The Steelers weren't.
And no pressure on Matt Jones. They couldn't get to him. No sacks, only 3 hits. In stark contrast to what we saw last week in Cincinnati. One of the big plays of this game was a muffed punt by Gunnar Olszewski, the former New England Patriot, who was an All-Pro in 2020 at his position. Really good, but he had it hit clang off his helmet. They recovered and turned it into a touchdown. He spoke after the game.
Get under it in time, and, you know, that's on me.
You put your finger on why you guys can't find rhythm on offense?
Can't early in the season. First 4 weeks of the season, everybody's trying to still figure out who they are because nobody really runs their stuff in the preseason, don't want to show stuff. But I think we need to get in rhythm. But, you know, that's what I think we're going to come in tomorrow and kind of figure it out. We got a short week going into Cleveland Thursday, and we'll get it rolling.
How frustrating are these slow starts for you guys?
Very frustrating. When you leave your defense out to dry like that, and it doesn't help having turnovers on special teams. That's on me. It's very frustrating. And when you lose, it's tough when you have to learn while you're losing. It's all right to learn while you're winning. It's always more fun doing that. But learning while you lose, you feel a little more.
Can you guys put things together in such a short amount of time here?
Absolutely. We're professional football players. That's what we get paid to do, and I think we'll get it done.
When you get a jet sweep like that, like shortly after you fumble the punt, does that kind of help get your mind?
All right, Gunnar Olszewski right there, one of the key plays. And speaking of special teams, there was a play earlier in this game where, you know, Presley Harvin got off a 69-yard punt. It was muffed by New England. It was in the end zone. And if the Steelers had recovered, that would have been a touchdown, big part of the game. As it was, a lot of people wondered why it was not a safety. Gene Steratore, I thought, gave a good explanation. Got to have possession.
Possession of the ball.
Yeah, and they did, and so it's like a touchback, which is what it was, but it could have gone totally different.
And I think a lot of people that were watching that, I think there were probably some players and coaches thinking it was going to be a touchdown as well if the Steelers recovered it. But, you know, the Patriots recovered the ball and tried to get out of there. Connor Heyward had a great tackle there. And it was a touchback. But what a play and a scramble there. That could have been a big play if the Steelers recovered that and could have changed the tide in this game because, hey, special teams play, scores, defensive scores, that's what they need to live by right now because they can't score offensively.
Yeah, only one offensive touchdown for the second week in a row. You're not going to win football games in the NFL by doing that. Just look at the scores around the NFL today. Jets 31-30. You had 42-38 in Baltimore, and the Jets, came back from the dead to win that game. And Miami is putting up points. They're now 2-0. As far as the Steelers, they got to get better production down the field, and that would include Diontae Johnson, 6 catches, 57 yards. Although he was open a couple of times in this game, and they checked it down, and they did not see him, I thought, based on some of the overhead views. But afterwards, he talked about his day at the office.
As far as the offense getting better.
Oh yeah. I feel like we've been good. Everybody say that we start slow, this and that, and third, but we can just only worry about what we can focus on. We're going to be fine.
But only 14 points isn't enough, is it?
I mean, no, it isn't. We got to obviously put more points on the board, but like I say, we just got to execute better.
If they're in single high, is that a potential opportunity to attack deep?
Yeah, one-on-one. I mean, you obviously want to get the ball in your best player hands or whatnot, but they show that a lot. We just got to, do better or whatnot. And that's for the coaches or whatnot. On the plan of what we got to do. So we just only do what they tell us to do and execute it.
Can you talk about your 2-point catch a little bit?
I just seen them throw the ball, scramble and whatnot, faded late to the ball, and Mitch put it in a good spot.
It's like 2 ridiculous catches in 2 weeks. Is that going to be an every game thing?
I just make the play on the ball whenever it comes my way. It don't matter how I catch it.
Well, when you only score a couple of touchdowns in 2 weeks, the chance of Kenny were up there. I want to ask you something because a lot of people, including Ed Bouchette, the veteran Hall of Famer, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and later The Athletic, has said it's time for Kenny Pickett. This is a short week. Yeah. Most coaches will not do that on a short week. What's your take on the quarterback position?
I think it's absolutely out of the question that the Steelers make the change this week. I mean, 4 days to try to get Kenny ready for a game, I don't believe the Steelers will do that. Now, if Trubisky goes out, then this offense stumbles some more against the Cleveland in Cleveland. Now you got to look at this and say, this is almost like another bye week, right? They have an extra weekend. Could they take this opportunity to make a change? But I'm not so sure, Bob, when you hear about that Tomlin really wants to sit Kenny for the season and allow him to learn and team up and set him up for a career that's going to be really successful, I could be completely wrong on this, but I wouldn't say it's out of the question that Mason Rudolph can be put in the game. What's his strength? Mason Rudolph's strength is to throw the deep ball, and that's what they need right now. They need to be able to say when they're single high and there's one-on-one matchups on the outside, let's throw the ball deep, let's throw it under and let Diontae Johnson, let's let Chase Claypool run underneath the ball. And right now, Trubisky's not even willing to take that shot. I know Rudolph will.
Yeah, and he acknowledged there were single high opportunities, and he did not throw in those directions. So a lot of checkdowns, it did not work, one score, and there's going to be a lot of debate about that. Meantime, defensively, Malik Reed did get into the backfield a few times. He had one time being held. They called a penalty against New England because he put the pressure on. This is how he saw the game afterwards from his vantage point in the locker room.
I feel like we did a good job against the run, especially like earlier on. We knew that that's something that they like to do well, and we knew that they was going to do that coming into this game. So I feel like we stood up against it earlier on. They popped a few plays at the end to pretty much end the game, but overall I feel like we was ready for it, and we just going to keep getting better.
Yeah, that last we were talking about they popped a few at the end there. Was that kind of fatigue on the defense's part? What were they doing to get the run game going when it mattered most?
It seemed like at the line he was checking a lot. He was seeing kind of where we was in, and I think he's a pretty smart guy. You know what I'm saying? And once they had a feel, I feel like for our adjustments and stuff like that, they was able to counteract those things. I don't know exactly what plays. I have to go watch the film and see exactly what they were doing, but credit to them. You know what I'm saying? And them making those plays at the end.
How would you assess the guys that obviously had to step in here for TJ today? How you guys did in the first half?
Like I said, it was a close game. Like I said, we didn't have sacks, crazy amount of sacks coming to the game. But I feel like guys were ready, and we was doing a lot of different things. With him not being in there and just being ready. I feel like guys are ready to go in there and play ball, and that's all you can ask for. You know what I'm saying? That's being ready to go play, especially this game coming up on Thursday. So we're gonna learn from this, learn from what we didn't do well, and then capitalize on the things that we did do well.
Were they max protecting a lot?
All right, Malik Reed after the game. Meantime, the offensive line for the Steelers didn't create too many openings. I thought Jaylen Warren, when he was in there, actually showed a lot of ability to get to holes quickly when he had his chance.
Yeah, he did. He did a great job. He ran the ball tough. A couple times he ran over some DBs, and I love watching running backs put their shoulder down and run over people. And I thought Najee had some good runs, right? But still, the holes weren't there like we would like to see. But when they got the ball and they were able to see a corner, see an edge, or be able to see a hole, I thought they got up in there. I mean, today the Steelers ran the ball 22 times for 91 yards for 4.1 average. That's above the line type run of the football. The problem was that they just couldn't, get those good runs on a third down to move the chains in critical moments like that. But I don't think the running game was bad by and large with the numbers right there.
Yeah, you heard Gunnar talk about this, and I just want to ask you, does it take this long to establish who this team is or who any NFL team? He says generally it takes the first 4 weeks of the season to figure out just exactly what you are.
Well, Olszewski, he's a young fellow, right? I mean, people used to play preseason. When you don't play preseason anymore, it takes a month. It takes 4 games. It used to be 4 games in a preseason, Bob. That's what it takes to get a team ready. And now with the CBA and really, NFL training camp has become almost like spring training in baseball. I mean, guys go and they work for a day or two and they take a day or two off, and it's not the intense training camp that used to be where you hit week 1 on all cylinders. So now what you're seeing is it does take the first month to get into rhythm, to find your identity, because you don't have the snaps that you typically would have in the preseason.
And that includes offensive line James Daniels, who was brought in here from Chicago. He spoke after the game about their performance.
Just understand that they're going to be tired and they might not be lined up, but just focus on our details and just try to benefit off them not being set and not being able to make calls.
James, as an offense, why has it been such a struggle to get the ball downfield?
I'm not sure. That's more of a. I feel like that's more of like a coach. That's more of a question you ask the coaches, because honestly, the only thing I see like during the play, like when the play's going on, I just like if I'm pass blocking, I just see my pass block, you know. So I don't see anything like pre-snap. Of course, I see it, but after the snap, I don't see it. So I feel like that's more of like a coach's question. Sorry, I can't answer that.
James, that thing ineligible downfield in the first half, was that just miscommunication?
No, so it's an RPO.
Okay.
And so in RPO, I have to block the guy, but when he throws the ball, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah, it was an RPO, and unfortunate, but I mean, I look back, so like, I took a couple steps, and I was like, damn, I think he's throwing it. So I tried to like back up, but I was already too far downfield once the RPO. It's tough because in the RPO you have to block the run. You can't block the pass. You know? So.
Is it frustrating not getting into a rhythm on offense?
Yeah. I mean, just like I look back at Chicago, and like we had so many games just like this where our defense was lights out, and just offense we just couldn't just get in a rhythm, couldn't get it done. I mean, yes, it's very frustrating because you know, Chicago, like we weren't very successful on offense, and so I mean, hopefully we're gonna be good. We're just gonna keep on improving, and things will change.
Can you put your finger on the slow starts at all? Can you put your finger on
And that's Rich Walsh talking to James Daniels. He referenced Chicago, and Mitch Trubisky was in Chicago during that time, but they couldn't do much offensively.
He said, you know the offense in Chicago. Trubisky was the quarterback in Chicago. Are we seeing a lot of the same? I don't know, but it's interesting, that comment right there.
Yeah, it is. Let's talk about a surprise inactive for the second week in a row, and Kendrick Green on the offensive line. I'm a little surprised because it's not even good enough to get in there at all as a reserve. That's surprising to me. Is it to you?
Well, no, because I don't think he played very well in the preseason, and you have to earn that. And they got other guys that they believe, J.C. Ossenauer, they believe that maybe he's better than Kendrick Green, right? Because he could play both the center and the guard positions. And it's all about numbers at other positions. It's about injuries. And Kendrick Green right now, he just didn't go out there and earn that spot. And to me, he didn't even beat out J.C. in the preseason.
And that's surprising. They spent a third-round pick on him, made him the starting center. That didn't work. Moving to guard, his natural position, so far that hasn't worked as well. We'll take a break here. We got more reaction coming up. Top of the hour, we're going to take your calls. I'm sure you have some interesting things to say. Call us on a special edition of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. It's all coming up right here on Pittsburgh CW.
Welcome back to the Neighborhood Ford Store Steelers Extra Point.
All right, welcome back. Bob Pompeani, Chris Hoke. Every week in the NFL is unpredictable. You try one of those survivor polls or the knockout polls, it's hard to pick a winner. The Browns were up. It looked handily over the Jets, who came back and beat them in Cleveland 31-30, so they're 1-1. Miami was down big early to Baltimore, but Tua Tagovailoa and his offense came to life. Hill and Waddle combined for almost 400 yards in receiving yardage, 42-38. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady breaks a little bit of a jinx. Every time they played New Orleans, Tampa seemed to lose. Not today. Tampa wins 20-10. So if you look at the updated standings, and I'm going to throw the Cincinnati Bengals in. Early on, they trailed Dallas 7-0, and Dallas is without Dak Prescott. So Cincinnati early, and I know, but still, they're 0-1, and the Steelers, Browns, Ravens all lost today. So the whole division might lose today. Chris?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of gifts for the Steelers here, right? Doesn't turn out good for them. But you have the Ravens that lose, you have the Browns that lose. I mean, the Bengals could lose here, and the Steelers could still be sitting at the top of the division after a tough loss at home against the Patriots. I mean, that's a blessing for them right now.
One of the key plays in this game was a 44-yard touchdown reception by Nelson Agholor. He went up and took it away from Ahkello Witherspoon, who talked about it in the locker room after the game.
Of his savvy and then just some of our play in terms of technique, and that's just kind of what happened. Combination of both. Appreciate it.
Dust this one off quickly because you have a game Thursday.
I mean, it's all the same speed for me. We got tomorrow off. By Tuesday, I'm moving on, getting my body right for the next week. So I'll sit on it tonight, watch the tape, get my body right for Thursday.
How frustrating is this one? Compared to coming off the way you guys performed last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's indicative of this league. I mean, we had a a great game, exciting game, just ups and downs from last week, similar experience this week, and then we can't bring it home. And once again, I just think it's important that we do better early off in the game so that we're not in those positions to be perfect at the end. And that falls on me, that falls on us as a team, and we got to be better.
Seemed like you had a great position.
Yeah.
You just talk a little bit about that play and how he was able to.
Yeah, I just didn't high point the ball, as simple as that. Wasn't really worried about him elevating because he was a smaller receiver, and he did so, and came down with the ball.
All right, now some would say that Mac Jones did a pretty good job. He used his eyes, left, went back right, found Ahkello. But again, what he's looking at is a jump ball situation. Again, that's what happens when you have single coverage, and that's why I think the Steelers should use more of it when they get a chance and take a shot down the field. You see what can happen. The receiver went out and made a play, and Witherspoon was just flat-footed. Look at him. You can see right there. He did not go up and high point the ball.
Did not go up. And when you have receivers like Chase Claypool and George Pickens who are big, can go up and get the ball, throw the ball up to him. This reminds me of what Coach LeBeau used to say. Don't miss the layup. And right here, Ahkello Witherspoon was right in position. He had beautiful coverage. Now go up. Don't miss the layup. He had position on the receiver. Go up and get the ball on Ahkello. But he could not do it, and that's what happened. That was a big play at the end of the half. Games are won and lost at the end of halves and the end of the game, and that's what happened right here that really put the momentum in favor of the New England Patriots.
It really did. Another key part of this game after the Olszewski muff punt, which turned into an immediate touchdown by Damian Harris to make it 17-6, the Steelers had their one and only significant drive. It took them early on 16 plays to go 48 yards to get a field goal. Dink and dunk, check down, check down. On this drive, and it was the only offensive touchdown of the day, we saw them go down the field a little bit. There was also a misdirection kind of jet sweep to Olszewski for 17 yards. He went to Johnson, he went to Harris, and then eventually Mitch Trubisky goes to Freiermuth over the middle. That was it, and they went 9 plays, 75 yards in just under 3 minutes.
Yeah, again, there was a lot
speed up too, a little. I like
speed
it.
up, and my feeling was when I was watching that, Bob, I thought the Patriots played a little too soft on defense. They did not want to give it the big play, and they thought they cannot methodically move the ball down the field on us. We're going to keep everything in front of us, and that's exactly what the Patriots did. They gave up a lot of yardage, and the Steelers were able to go down and score. But there was a lot of Najee Harris on that. But you got to look at that nice pass to Freiermuth when he was able to make a little move and get a nice little quick slant in the end zone for that touchdown over the middle. We got to see more of that. We got to see more balls thrown between the hashes and down the field, and I think you'll see more points.
Yeah, and you know the thing about that is, again, I harp on it all the time. I apologize if I do it too much, but changing the pace of the game. When things are in a rut, just do it. They did it in that drive a couple of times.
Well, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense, too.
Exactly.
And you see what happened
They have to
there.
be back on their heels. They can't necessarily substitute maybe as well as they could by doing it the other way.
Absolutely. In the fourth quarter there, you saw in that last 6:33, the Patriots were putting the pressure on the Steelers. They can sense that they were tired, that they were sucking wind, they were really putting the pressure on them. And when you have the momentum, when you have the advantage in the drive, listen, if you're out there for a long time offensively, it's because you're having success. If you're out there a long time as a defense, it's because you're struggling. So put the pressure on a defense and go. And that's what the Steelers have to do sometimes, is really, really pick up the pace like you're talking about, Bob, and change it up to catch them off guard, put them on their heels, and that's when you can take advantage of an opponent.
On the other side of the ball, Alex Highsmith, we thought he would get a lot of attention, and he did today. And well, you saw his line last week in Cincinnati. Of course, it helps when you have T.J. Watt at the other side. He was, stat-wise, probably a Defensive Player of the Week candidate. That went to Minkah Fitzpatrick. But today he was pretty much silenced. What was the difference today?
Well, the difference was T.J. Watt wasn't in there, right? And he commands so much attention. I mean, teams are sliding to him. They're using a back to chip him, that it gives a lot of one-on-one opportunities to an Alex Highsmith, to a Cam Heyward. And now what you do without T.J. Watt is you can single-team Malik Reed. You can single-team the other defensive tackle, and you can find ways to chase Alex Highsmith, or you can double-team Cam Heyward, and it makes it more difficult for your defensive pass rush studs to get pressure on the quarterback. And today you saw it. Last week, 11 QB hits. Today, 3. Last week, 7 sacks. Today, 0. It was a huge difference because T.J. Watt wasn't in the game.
Alex Highsmith in the locker room afterwards talked about today's game, the 17-14 win by New England. Let's roll that tape.
And we know that just going to the next game, we just got to be better. And we just got to have more of an attack mindset and getting off blocks better. And like I said, I got to be better. And I know the type of front we can be. And so I think it's just on us as a whole just to be able to get there.
Malik Reed said afterwards in that last drive, when they were running effectively, that he noticed Mac Jones checking a lot at the line of scrimmage and getting them into the right play. Were you seeing that as well, and what were you thinking he was trying to get them in and away from during that last drive?
Yeah, I think I just noticed a couple plays they run away from the tight end, but I just know we all knew that they were going to run the ball. We just unfortunately didn't make the plays when the plays were needed.
Alex, you guys tried a lot of different people in what would have been T.J. Watt's spot. How did it go? Did you feel like anything was especially better? Maybe the 3-down lineman thing, or the
I think guys stepped up when they came in today. Got some good plays out of a lot of guys, and but I just know we can be better as a defense as a whole, especially coming down that last drive, and I know I got to play better too because I'm far from what I want to do today.
You moved around a lot, went back and forth on each side. Is that something you might be doing more of?
Yeah, that was just in the game plan and stuff like that, and so I felt comfortable with the right side too. Just got to continue to refine my moves on that side because I haven't been over there in a while because I'm primarily right side guy, so just got to continue to work more from the left side.
A lot of guys have talked before the game about not trying to beat TJ and just do what you do. Did you find guys trying to get out of where they were supposed to be, trying to make a play? Was that anything that happened out there?
Yeah, I think, like I said, a lot like guys who came in, like they knew what to do, and they were in good spots. And I think Malik had a really good game, rushing wise, and able to get a couple of hits in the quarterback and draw a holding call and stuff. And so Jameer as well. And so I just think we just got to continue to improve from each game because we know the type of defense we can be, and I feel like we can be better than we were today because, we all saw what we did week 1, and we know that we can be better.
How much did you feel like them winning on first and second?
Yeah, they can be better, there's no doubt, but at the same time, as a defense, there was a short field after the muff punt. They gave up a touchdown and one other. That was it. Normally, you should win when you only give up a couple of scores in a game in the National Football League, but they did not.
There's no question. When you only give up 17 points in the game, you should win that ball game. Anything over 17 points, it's tough in the NFL. That was always a stat line that we had when Coach LeBeau was a D coordinator, was 17 points or less. We're looking to hold other teams. And they did that today. It's just the offense isn't scoring points. And still, at crucial moments, the Steelers' defense could have made big plays. I keep going back to that Cam Sutton play. When Mac Jones threw the ball right at him on the minus 46, we're almost at midfield, he's got to catch that ball. So many things unfolded from there that wouldn't have happened if he would have picked that ball off. And when your offense is struggling, you've got to make that play, Bob.
Yeah, exactly right. But all the problems of the defense, which are not that many compared to the offense, when the offense doesn't score points, they become, under the microscope a lot more for sure. And now it's time, ladies and gentlemen, to check out the Ford road ahead because, again, without TJ Watt for at least the next 3 games, maybe more than that, we'll see. But very quick turnaround here Thursday night in Cleveland. Again, the Browns lost today at home. That's where they're going to be on Thursday, 8:15 game. And then it's a home game against the Jets. Don't take them lightly. They beat the Browns today. So they're going to come into Acrisure Stadium with an opportunity. Who knows? Then the Bills. That's a tough game, of course, at a team that many expect to get to a Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, which won today on the road. That's your Ford road ahead. We have a lot ahead here, including your calls coming up. You can call us at 412-575-2600. That is the number. You can also tweet if you would like at KDPump at HokeyBro76. And we're going to take those calls in a short amount of time here. But the bottom line is the Steelers are 1-1 with a game against Cleveland coming up on Thursday night. Both those teams at 1 win, 1 loss. We'll take a break, come back with more of your calls next right here on Pittsburgh CW.